Hello, welcome to another Alpha Strike We Play video. My name is Adam, and this is my friend Tarron.
Hey buddy, we're booking today.
We are booking. So we've been talking a lot about missiles, and we've got our upcoming Pimp My Mech battle coming up.
The missile battle.
Missile stuff, but we wanted to talk about the different types of ammunition that you can get for missile weapons, just to finish it off. So it's not the full comprehensive. There's probably some that we're going to miss, but we're going to do probably a number of videos because there's quite a few.
There's a lot
to pick from. Yeah. So swish us in, mate. We'll get started.
Oh, swish.
Lovely. Okay. So the first one we're going to talk about is actually for water combat in particular. So it's not. We're probably not going to use it in our Pimp Our Mech thing or whatever. But we just want to talk about. I don't know, maybe. But it's torpedo launchers.
Yeah,
okay.
So technically it's not an ammo, it's a separate launcher, but we didn't cover it in the missile weapons thing,
no.
So we thought we'd chuck it in here. It is just for water.
Yeah, so it has to be fired in at least hex level 1 or depth 1 or something,
And you have to trace line of sight through water hexes of depth 1 or greater. And if you hit a location with it that's not submerged or in the water, then you have to re-roll that location.
Yeah, so it's like the opposite, isn't it? The opposite of shooting into,
exactly, yeah. Except it doesn't just cancel out, you have to re-roll it.
Yeah.
It's with shooting down to someone with water, if you hit the leg, it just cancels out, it hits the water instead. But this one you have to re-roll. But there are a couple of submarine versions that I've seen that are covered in these things. So
yeah, the Neptune I think is
Neptune's the only one that I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. So basically, your LRM or SRM launchers, it works the same. So same damage and all that sort of thing.
Same size racks, same everything. You just convert it to a torpedo launcher.
So but it has to be fired underwater. So there is one variant of the Crusader mech that had I think it was SRM4 in its legs, like one in each leg. So for funsies, you could actually switch that over to torpedoes.
Make that torpedoes, and if you're
playing a scenario with underwater units, you could at least have a go.
That would be hilarious.
That would be cool.
Nice.
But yeah, torpedoes. We'll have a look. We're going to look at vehicles and all that sort of stuff later. But yeah, thought we'd mention that. What's the next one you found that was quite interesting?
So you've got this one, which is the frag missile. So the fragmentation missile, which is very, very, very specific in its usage. But it loads into standard LRMs and standard SRMs. It's innosphere based because most of them will be. But it is an anti-infantry missile, basically. So you don't roll on the cluster hit table, you just apply the entire damage value of the launcher to conventional infantry. And you still double it for them being in a clear hex. And you also double damage against clearing against wooded hexes for clearing purposes, which is pretty cool. So it is, You're not rolling on the cluster hit table for the infantry, which is a bonus to start with. You're still doubling it if they're in the clear, and if you shoot it into a wooded hex, then you can clear it out pretty damn quick.
It's horrible.
It's nasty stuff, but it doesn't do any damage against anything else.
No. Yeah.
So there's no other units, no buildings, no nothing. Nothing else takes damage from frag missiles. So it is specifically for people who take a lot of infantry when you want to get rid of them.
Yeah. So So conventional infantry, that doesn't include battle armor. They will be immune to that as well.
Conventional infantry. Yeah. So like I say, it's very specific.
But I don't know. It could be fairly common. I mean, you look at a lot of these houses, they have a lot of infantry in their rosters, huge regiments and regiments of troops and all of that. So they are.
It doesn't feel like it, but there's actually a lot of infantry out there in the lore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of standard everyday infantry, people on motorcycles and things driving around, mechanized infantry and stuff. Yeah. As long as it's conventional infantry, this stuff will destroy it.
Yeah.
Destroy it.
Yeah. That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, I mean, an LRM 20 with those, even in cover, it will still do 20 points of damage, which is almost an entire platoon of conventional infantry. 24 to 28 for conventional infantry.
Yeah.
Nasty stuff.
So, your favourite?
My favourite.
Infernos.
Yes.
One of them anyway. One of your favourites. You've got a few.
They're all really good.
Yeah. The Infernos, they're sort of worth mentioning as well. They're another thing that doesn't actually do damage to armoured units. Well, it doesn't actually have a damage value rating.
No.
What it does is it increases heat in the location.
Yes. It's only available in SRM sizes. You can't get Inferno LRMs, to my knowledge. That would be kind of cool, though.
Would be nasty.
I think you can get incendiary ones, but more on that later.
Yeah.
So, like you say, they don't have a damage value. All they do is raise the heat of heat tracking units by 2 per missile that hits. And they do various horrible, nasty things to other stuff.
Definitely.
But in mech versus mech combat, you are altering the enemy's heat value. And the tournament that we went to the other weekend.
Yeah.
One of my problems was I overheated myself. I overheated myself in a major way.
And the first round or second round or something?
Yeah, in like 3 or 4 rounds I was gone. But heat is very, very important in this game for heat tracking units. Let's go down the list here. So with buildings, for every missile that strikes a building hex, not a unit inside it, but hits a building, where you roll a 1d6 for each unit occupying that hex, regardless of what level the units occupy. On a result of 1 to 4, the missile has no effect against the unit. On a 5 to 6, it strikes the unit with the following rules applying to each unit type. Each missile that strikes a building hex inflicts 2 points of damage to the hex. So that's one of the few where it does actually do a damage point value. So it's still damaging buildings, and it's possible for it to hit units that are inside buildings. So even hiding your infantry inside a building, they're not necessarily safe from this. Nasty stuff.
So, I mean, the Flamer's pretty nasty against infantry, but Inferno missiles, because of the chemicals and everything that's in them.
Yeah, so specifically against infantry, every missile that strikes a conventional infantry unit automatically eliminates 3 troopers.
Yeah.
Every 3 missiles that strikes a battle armor unit automatically eliminate 1 randomly determined trooper.
Nice.
Which is nasty. So after all Inferno against infantry have been resolved, add together the total number of Inferno missiles that struck the target, and then determine how many troopers were eliminated. So 2 separate SRM attacks utilizing Inferno ammo result in a total of 5 missiles striking a battle armor unit. Only a single trooper will be eliminated. If those same 5 missiles strike a conventional infantry platoon, 15 troopers would be eliminated.
Yeah. Out of buildings, so out of a hardened or heavy position. You're still doing lots of damage to them.
Yeah, so
really cool.
On a 5 to 6, if they're hiding in a building, on a 5 to 6, that rule applies.
Yeah.
So even in the building, they're still losing 15 troopers if those missiles hit.
Yeah.
It's rude.
Very nasty.
It's very rude.
Now, they do have rules for using fire to clear woods and things like that. So if you've got your flamers and whatever else, but Inferno missiles can also do damage to woods and clear them. Each missile that hits a wood location, hex, does 4 points of damage to it, just straight up. Yeah.
Which is, worth it.
It's worth it, yeah. I mean, if you've got the chance of setting the woods on fire as well, if someone's using it for cover, that's pretty good too. So they can sit in there and let the heat build up, or, get out of it.
It's you either sit there and boil, or you run, one of the two.
Yeah.
Proto-mechs, we haven't really gone into proto-mechs, but 3 missiles that strike a proto-mech potentially destroy the location. So you have to do some hit location stuff, and you've got a chance for it to destroy a location on a proto-mech.
Yeah.
Like, completely destroy it. So
I'm pretty sure that proto-mechs are a sealed unit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I need to look that up.
Don't think they track heat, though.
No, they don't. So maybe they're like vehicles. We'll have to look that up. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I really like proto-mechs, but it's been a while since I've sort of heard of them.
Well, we're not really covering them at this point. They're way in the future. Way in the future.
Yeah. But anything else like mechs and aerospace fighters and small craft and all that sort of thing. So if every missile that strikes a target, increase the unit's heat by 2. And I think there's a maximum of 15 heat from outside sources from memory.
Yeah, it was 10 or 15. I think you might be. I think it was 15.
Something like that. Yeah. So it will cap out, but I mean that's a lot. That's a lot of heat.
So you want to be careful about how many SRM you allocate to a given unit, because if they all hit and you go over that cap, the ones that hit after that cap, they're not going to do anything.
They're not going to do anything, no.
So you're splitting your Inferno fire up a bit more sometimes, or you're using just one. So if you have multiple SRM racks, and you've got multiple tonnage of ammo, you can fire one with Inferno, one with standard, and one with something else.
That's
if you
right,
feel like getting it. But you want to try and keep that limit in mind. I'm pretty sure you're right. I'm pretty sure it's 15.
So they don't have any effect against dropships because they're quite big. Vehicles, I remember fire being very bad. Yeah, so there's attacks by battle armor. So SRM infantry. An SRM infantry platoon that hits its target does so with a number of Inferno missiles equal to its damage value after rolling on the cluster hit table divided by 2. So they're okay. So they're not doing as much heat per damage as such. They do less heat.
Yeah,
but that's still pretty good.
And they don't hit with many, because conventional infantry squads, they cause bugger all
in BV.
And that's
so worth looking at them.
Was it 20, 28? Probably 24 to 28 for an SRM infantry platoon. And I mean, you roll on your cluster hit table and then you divide it by 2. It's still going to be good if you roll well.
Yeah.
So it's not nothing, especially for the BV that you're paying for them, which is sod all.
So there's the clans have a battle armor called the Salamander. I think it was the Fire Mandrills that actually invented that one.
I remember that
really
one.
like that. They get bonuses when they're jumping on mechs and things like that, and they've got flamers as their weapons, but they've also got Inferno rounds on their launchers. So they have like heat protected armor and things like that. So they can actually take Inferno hits. They're one of the
I was going to say they're the ones that are immune to Inferno hits.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But if they don't if you didn't have that and you're trying to fire Infernos, it could be quite nasty, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it would be bad.
So all these ones we're looking at is actually in the Total Warfare. But there is one, we'll talk about it because it is pretty cool. The heat tracking.
Oh, the heat seekers.
Yeah. So in the tactical operations.
TAC Ops.
So TAC Ops book.
Yep. Page 369. Yeah. Well, they start on page 367. It's missile munitions.
Yeah. So there's one called
Heat Seeking.
Yeah. So if you can combine your Inferno rounds with some of these, James is going to tell us what they do.
That would be a very good combination.
Really cool, actually.
So your Infernos are only for SRM, but the Heat Seekers are available in standard LRM or standard SRM, and also MMLs.
So using spotters and stuff.
Yep,
could be handy as well.
Yeah. So they use the same rules as standard missiles for the launcher and the size, with the following exceptions. So against heat tracking units that have overheated, heat-seeking missiles receive a 2-hit modifier equal to the heat-induced movement point modifier for the target. So if you go up to 12 on your heat scale, you've got a minus, you see it on there, it's got a -2 movement point modifier, right? So you're taking 2 points off your movement allowance. But if you're shot at with heat-seeking missiles, the person shooting at you gets a -2 to hit modifier, so it makes it a lot easier for them to hit you because the missiles are homing in.
Which is very handy. That's cool.
An additional modifier of -2 applies if the target is currently on fire, or if the target is a fighter, small craft, dropship, or warship, and the line of attack passes through its aft hex side. Not really relevant to most people, but
no.
If you can set them on fire and make them overheat, then you're getting some serious modifiers to your hit.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
If you could just, but because you could put them on the LRMs, like I was saying, just use the spotters. Get those LRM carriers that you've got sitting in the back there.
Yep.
Oh.
So against non-heat tracking units or units that have not overheated, they get a +1 to hit.
Yeah.
So that's not fantastic. But if you've got it as a secondary bin of ammo, then you just use it when you're going to get your cool mods.
Just assign one little ton, one little sign for a rainy day.
Streaking death.
Yeah.
If a flight of heat-seeking missiles is fired into or through a hex that has been set on fire, a +2 to hit modifier applies to the attack as well, because they'll tend to veer off and hit fire.
Right.
And they're incompatible with Artemis, Narc, or Streak. So don't use them on those. And I think page 43 will show us the setting on fire things.
Fire table, there you go.
Okay, there you go. So, incendiary LRMs, direct fire. Alright, so Infernos aren't on there. Okay. Oh, yep, Inferno. Plasma weapons and Inferno rounds are an automatic fire setting. So if you are playing with the setting things on fire rules, then Infernos will automatically set them on fire.
Very nice.
Except under following conditions: in vacuum, trace atmospheric pressures, and tornadoes F1, F3, and tornado F4+, no fire is possible. And yeah, if you're in a Castle Bryan hex, then it's not automatic. But in standard BattleTech games, if you're playing with setting things on fire rules, the starting fire rules, then an Inferno automatically sets fires.
Yeah.
The chemicals and things that are in there, it will automatically set one on. And that is a good combination, because you can use, say, a Streak, say a SRM6 with Inferno rounds, set the unit on fire, raise its heat by anywhere up to 12 points.
Yep.
Boom. And then fire your next round of heat seekers from your LRM20 that you've got handy and get a -4.
Because you've got that heat for an entire round.
Yep.
So there, you get all your mates in and just,
Yeah, that heat that you build up at the end of the round doesn't go away until the end of the next round. So if you keep them building up heat, then the next weapon phase, boom, you've got all of those modifiers. And having something like, well, the Mongoose, I seem to remember, has a variant that's got some SRM versions in there, but the standard Commando has SRMs out the wing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you load him up with some Inferno ammo and then run him in there and start setting fires and raising people's heat, and then you have your Archer with some heat-seeking missiles on the hill, and you're negating
now you're talking
the long range modifier. It's gone. It's really good.
That is very good, actually. Yeah. But again, like if talking about the LRM carriers, if they're at the back there, then they're probably not going to be moving, so you've got no movement modifier, and then everything's at medium range instead of long.
It's really good.
That's very cool.
And there's a whole heap of others, but I think we've covered enough for this one.
For this one, yeah. So we'll do some more videos of them, because there are some others to cover. But
there's some really cool ones. Some really cool ones. I've got a couple of favourites. Inferno's one of them. It's weird because, I've got a couple of LRM ones that I really like too. Those are cool, but again, fairly specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it for now.
I think that's it.
All right. So thank you for watching. If you found this useful, share it around, and please consider subscribing if you haven't done it. Leave some comments if you have any sort of stories. If you have actually used any of this ammunition, we'd like to hear what happened. That'd be cool.
Dead set, especially the heat seeking
ones. Some strategies and whatever else. But that's it.
Good.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Bye guys.
Bye.